3, 2, 1. Welcome to This Week in College Hockey. We're all in the same room, and we've all seen a lot of hockey.
And we're all proud Americans right now.
We are very proud
Absolutely.
Americans.
America.
I had this line all dialed up yesterday, but didn't get to it, and it was like, I was going to be to all my Canadian friends. Oh, that's right. I don't have any Canadian friends. None of you are my friends. It was going to be something like that. But
I'll repeat what I.
It wasn't that. Was going to be.
I'll repeat what I posted on social media. Canada, love your country. It's beautiful. You gave us Tim Hortons. You gave us the Crash Test Dummies. You gave us Montreal Bagels. You gave us the greatest game in the world, hockey, and you showed us how it's done for a long time. We'll take it from here.
We'll take it from here. Loud, obnoxious. You know.
And you'll like this. My sister texts me in our family group, and she says, you don't have to attack a whole country just because you're proud of your hockey team. And I said, yep, most games that's true, but not this game.
No.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Yeah.
Not tonight. It was pretty cool. One of the things that made me the happiest in hindsight now, or actually living it today, is we don't have to talk about the Miracle game anymore.
No.
We can finally put that thing to bed. I can finally put that to
Mike
bed.
Mike Eruzione, I love you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Time to pass it on to somebody else.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. And I love the Miracle. I grew up with it. It was
Absolutely.
me. That's part of who I am.
There's
and all that stuff.
There's another.
Now we got it.
Yeah.
I was, the 19. Did you, Jess, you remember the 1996 World Cup game?
Sure.
That was as exciting, about the same level of excitement. I believe they played best 2 out of 3, but the Americans beat the Canadians in Montreal, I believe, to win it, which made it even
and it was
sweeter.
Mike Modano and Brett Hull.
It was
it was an amazing American team. It was best on best kind of thing.
But they still had Gretzky and Lemieux and the whole deal. So
I'll say this, and amazingly, the U.S. did not give up a power play goal during the tournament.
It's amazing.
John Hines put together that penalty kill unit, and I know the coaches don't get medals, but he deserves one for that. But with that said, the 5 guys that Canada puts out on a power play,
it's amazing.
That has got to be the scariest quintet in the history since they invented the puck.
Was Celebrini on it?
Yeah, Celebrini, McKinnon, McDavid, Makar. Yeah, I can't remember who the 5th one was. It's like, well, if we stop these 2 guys, we've still got 2 of the world's best
Did you
players.
see McKinnon getting the little plushy stuffed animal after him?
McKinnon?
He's just like,
it was the best. It was the best. He got it. It was almost like the gymnastics girl meme. One of the girl goes like this.
Yeah.
It was the same thing he got. He's like,
just like, what?
Yeah.
Why? Why do I have to hold on to this stuffed animal?
I'll say my favorite meme, and we all know where I'm from. And 1960 gold medalist Bill Christian, 1980 gold medalist Dave Christian, this year's gold medalist Brock Nelson. The same family. Well, there was a picture of Brock Nelson holding his son out on the ice, and somebody said, that kid's got to win a gold medal in 2046. Yeah. No pressure, buddy.
It's okay, buddy. You're good. And he's got some bloodlines. Carly Sylvester, his wife, is a Miss Hockey winner in 2011, I believe.
Yep.
It's one of the distinctions Brock can't get over on his wife.
And so
even the gold medal, hey, I'm still Miss Hockey. Did you win Mr. Hockey?
It comes back to college hockey. I was absolutely fine. I'm a happy American, proud, all that. And then they brought out the Goudreau jersey and Johnny Hockey, and that's when the tears hit.
It was good.
Yeah, that was.
Because I was in Philadelphia when Johnny Hockey, in his hometown, wins the Hobie.
Yeah, it was cool.
That year, he goes right to Calgary. He was a star there, then went to Columbus and, kind of invigorated hockey. And then, just the way it all ended. So such a horribly tragic thing, but to honor him and have his kids out on the ice in the team picture.
It was neat. It was really neat.
I was talking to some people about the women's game too. I'm like, could you imagine being Hillary Knight this week? You get engaged to your Olympian girlfriend and then you win a gold medal. I'm like,
what a week.
Are you like, that's just the best week of my life ever?
Or KK Harvey, who broke up with her girlfriend
from
and
what
became
I heard,
the MVP and won a gold medal.
Rumor on social media.
How crazy is that?
I'm like, that's crazy.
I did text. I haven't reached out to a lot of these athletes that I know. I'm just waiting. I'll see Brock Faber in person and congratulate him and all that. But I did text Grace Zumwinkle and Taylor Heisey, who I've known since they were golfers, and I just said, I'm proud to call you 2 friends. I'm so proud of you. And I don't know if you knew, they do this thing where one of them's the golden retriever and one of them's the black lab. They have T-shirts made and everything.
Yeah.
I said, I'm guessing it's got to be 2 golden retrievers now because, gold medals.
Yeah. Very clever. Yep. Very clever. That's a dad joke.
That is a dad joke. But I've got cred. I've got dad joke cred.
You do.
Absolutely.
There was a couple of instances in the game. I'll point out 2 just off the top of my head. Number 1, there was after the game, Boston University pointed out that Jack Eichel and Neil Broughton are the only 2 players to win a Stanley Cup and Hobey Baker.
A gold medal and a Hobey Baker.
Right?
Yep.
And then I pointed out, but Neil Broughton also won a national championship.
He did win a national championship.
Right on top of BU's Twitter feed. I'm like, I know. But anyway, so that was that one.
And folks in my hometown will point out, Broughton didn't win a state championship. So.
I'm well aware of that. Interesting note. This is, I don't even know, did Charlie McAvoy play college hockey? If he did, he probably played for one of the Bs.
I think he played for BC.
One of them, I'm sure.
A year or 2, kind of a Matt Boldy type career.
Yeah, one of those.
Yep.
But to me, that is one of the most everyone sees the McKinnon. The minute McKinnon shot, McKinnon shot wide or right off the side of the post is obviously one of the memes of all memes, right? But I still think Charlie McAvoy volleyball bumping I still want to see the above. I look at the crease. I want to see the above the net. See how close that puck. I mean, that was the craziest sequence. For me, that's the one where the hair stood up on the back of my neck is when he was in the net. He wasn't on the crease. He was in the net. No. He goes, out of the deal. That was one of the most bizarre plays I've ever seen.
And then, the first ever Richter winner, I'm pretty sure, Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah.
Funny story there. Frozen Four in Philadelphia, 2014. Gophers are playing Union in the championship game, and they gave out the Richter earlier that day. And Connor Hellebuyck wins it. Well, the guys who organized the Richter, somehow they had the seats next to me in the press box. So there's a kid sitting next to me. I've never met him before. Hi, my name is Connor. Oh, nice to meet you, Connor.
Really?
So I sat with Connor Hellebuyck, watched the national championship game. Hey, I'm going to Winnipeg next week. I hope that works out for you. I love the Jets.
It sure did.
It has worked out for him pretty
quite well.
Funnily enough, I asked Zach Bogosian yesterday, because he played in Winnipeg for 4 years.
Yeah.
He was a original 2.0 Jet. I said, what's the reception going to be among those Jets fans when Connor Hellebuyck? He says, they're probably not real happy with him right now, but pretty quickly they'll remember,
respect for him.
Yeah, if we're going to get to the playoffs, it's all on this guy's shoulders, so that anger won't last long.
They got to respect what he did.
I mean, you think of, Gensel, he has to go back and play for John Cooper now, the guy that he just beat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the other one. The one things that popped out was him whining about the 3-on-3. He put on the ice McDavid, McKinnon, and a car. Like, how are you whining? You just put arguably the 3 best hockey players in the world on one line.
In the quarterfinal round when they beat Czechia 3-on-3.
He was not mad about it then.
Did he complain about it then?
He was
and I love John Cooper. He's a great guy.
You talked about him last week.
But, hey, if it's good in the first round, it's got to be good in the third round too.
I agree. Checkmate on all of the Canadian stuff as far as I'm concerned.
The other great line I heard is, the Canadians complaining, because I'll be flat out honest, they were the better team.
They were.
No question.
I'm not arguing
They
that.
were the scariest team I've ever seen.
It's very similar, other than it was played on live TV, to the Russian game or the USSR game, because they totally outplayed us in that game. We still won.
Absolutely. So the great whining line I've heard is said, well, you wouldn't have won except for that good goalie. To me, that's like saying, well, the Patriots wouldn't have won all those games except for Tom Brady. It's like, yeah, that's kind of part of the deal.
Or how about
if you have the better goalie, you're probably going to win.
I felt like Binnington was the better goalie in 4 Nations.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, you can't use that, I was texting with Blake Nelson yesterday after the tournament, and I had a line in there. What did I say? Of course, I can't find it.
Cool story, by the way. Speaking of Blake Nelson,
Warroad's
girls team.
Good stories.
Warroad's girls team on its way back to Warroad yesterday after losing the state championship game. They stopped in Bemidji to see Bill Christian, Blake's grandfather. Took the whole team to see him. A couple hours after his grandson wins a gold medal, and they've got a great picture with Blake sitting next to his grandpa and the whole team.
Did you see the picture of Izzy and Blake exclaiming after they won?
Yeah,
it was so cool. They were like, Oh, it was good. I loved it. I said this to Blake. I said, for how badly outplayed we were, it almost feels twice as special.
Yep.
Like had we won 6-1, I'm like, yeah, we won a goal, all right. But it was like most Americans, most hockey fans understand we got thoroughly outplayed and somehow got the win. And I said, kind of like 1980. And he's like, exactly.
Yep.
But and then his story where he went over and watched for like 4 days.
Yep. Missed the section championship game. The day his brother scores 2 goals, he's in the building in Milan. Then he flies back. Yeah. And Sydney, you mentioned the women's game. I've just got to say, with 5 minutes left, it's like, oh boy, here we go again.
It's like, every time.
Oh my God.
They had been such a dominant team, and then they run up against that team with the Maple Leaf.
Yeah, my husband got home from work, like right when the game was like probably 2/3 of the way through, and Canada's got a 1-goal lead, and I'm like, this is like what happens every single time.
Yeah.
And then every single time it's Hilary Knight, obviously. Obviously. And we're just like, oh yeah, this is what happens every time. And then we go to overtime. Okay, well, it's probably going to be Knight or Poulin. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I thought.
But then they asked her, did you see too? They're like, is this your last Olympics? And she's like, we'll see.
Who? Hillary?
Yeah, Hillary.
Hillary. I said to a good friend of mine in Montreal,
like,
hey,
wow.
I love Marie-Philippe Poulin. Time for her to retire, huh? Time for her to hang it up.
It is for sure.
Because both
she
her
looks
and
like
Knight
she's
have
lost
been
a
so
step.
good for so long.
She's lost a step for sure.
The other great tweet that I saw, or Blue Sky, or some post like that, our friend Bruce Siskey from Duluth, the voice of the Bulldogs, he said the great part is Claire Thompson still has no idea where Megan Keller went.
No.
That was just such a good move, too. When that happened, my whole house was like,
we talked about that
so
on the commute today. I'm like, she defended that absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
That's one of those moves where you try 1 out of 10 times and it works 1 out of 10. It just so happened to be for the gold medal.
Yeah.
Just happened to be for the gold medal. Yeah.
You do that at the park. You go down to the park and play. You try that move. It never works, except maybe 1 out of 10 times, and it just happened to be.
Can we say though that the camera work was so bad at the Olympics? If they would just sit on the goalie then for like 10 seconds instead of following the player, celebrating, it would just show the goalie and the fans like.
Or Team USA men's score yesterday.
They sat on the goalie for like
they
5
show the
seconds.
goalie, then they show John Cooper. Stone-faced. It's like, is there maybe a celebration going on?
Celly?
Yeah.
Could we see that?
It was like we finally got it like 6 minutes later. We finally got the celly.
Because the women's one, Megan Keller scores, and then it just stays on the goalie.
Yeah.
It's like,
Follow
the player.
Speaking of the Olympics, I talked to Jesper Wallstedt a little bit yesterday. He's back practicing with the Wild. The Swedes all came back and didn't really enjoy the Olympic experience. He said, the rink wasn't great. He said a good portion of the rink is still not finished. They didn't show it on TV, but there was an upper deck area where they've got it curtained off. I mean, it's like, guys, you had like 5 years to build this rink.
You could tell, but they had all the rubber down.
Yep.
Everywhere there was, I feel like there was rubber everywhere.
The way that rink was set up, remember the old State Fairgrounds Coliseum? Where the stands ended, here to there away, and then there was this huge gap, and then there was
cement. That's what it was.
That was the same way it was there. It's like, who thought that was a good idea?
It was bad. Everything was kind of bad, but they got it in.
And apparently the food was fine the first day, and then 2 weeks later, when you were having the same meal for the 14th time, then that got a little old in the Olympic Village too. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm not gonna feel sorry for these Olympic athletes.
You're in Italy. Go to the coffee shop and get some.
Here's
good
the
food
issue.
there.
Yeah,
if you're a speed skater, or if you're a biathlete or something like that, this is the thrill of your life. If you're an NHL player, you're used to the 4 seasons and catered meals and all that. You're not used to standing in line at a cafeteria.
Although I will say, I think I said this on another show. Like, if I were not that I am, but if I were an NHL player, I would kind of like being in the Village, because then you'd be secluded from all of the media attention and all the other things that would get in the way of just focusing on the sports.
Although I heard Team Canada stayed at some luxury hotel.
They did.
They took their players out of the Olympic Village and didn't want them in that setting. And whatever. Okay.
It didn't hurt them, that's for sure.
Yeah,
they sure performed just fine.
They did all right.
Just fine. Yep. All right, let's talk some college hockey.
Okay.
What do you got, Sydney?
Well, this week, a little bit different format for any of the listeners. I just thought instead of doing the games of the future basically at the end, I thought we'd just talk about them when we're talking about the teams, because now these next 1 or 2 series, depending on how many each team has left, a lot of times this next weekend might have a lot of, it's going to change a lot of things depending on how they do. So kind of a little bit different, but thought we'd start with the CCHA.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we don't talk about the CCHA first, that's the most interesting.
There are so many variables with the CCHA right
I was
now.
looking at,
oh my gosh.
I was in the middle of all that high school stuff, right?
Yeah.
On Saturday, and then I start seeing the results from the CCHA. I'm like, okay, who's playing?
Yeah.
Who does Bowling Green play? You know when you're on the Bowling Green schedule, you know how crazy it is because they're like the 4th or 5th place team.
Yeah.
And they're still relevant when it comes to how the outcome of all these teams.
Well, one of the big ones this week was Augustana played St. Thomas, and obviously those are two teams that we follow pretty closely. A lot of Minnesotans on those teams. And, technically one of the games was a shootout win, but otherwise Augustana, I say sweep asterisk because one was a shootout win.
Right.
But Augustana essentially sweeps St. Thomas because they only lose 1 point on the weekend. And if you're St. Thomas, that sucks because you went from definitely in to now like probably out of the tournament with that sweep.
They're 13 now though.
No, well they were 15 when I checked last.
Oh, they were
okay. Sorry.
Okay, I'll go back to them.
No, you're good. Because they moved down. They were like 12, and now when I checked last night, they were 15. So that hurt.
And they're all next to each other.
Bad.
It's they're all in a sequence.
St. Thomas was kind of up a couple spots, and now not so much. So for them, that really hurts.
And this, like we said last week, this was one of those rearview mirror series where if St. Thomas wins 2 games, you've got Augie in your rearview mirror for good.
Yeah.
And now
they're in trouble.
They sweep that 15, series, they're in, and now that's
Mankato's
probably
16,
not.
Augustana's 17, and Tech is 18, all in a row.
Really?
It's
15
tough.
through, yes, all in a sequence.
Yeah.
Wow. Commissioner Lucia is going to have some hand-wringing moments here in the next couple weeks.
I think they're all going to knock each other down to one spot.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right before our eyes. And then Augustana is idle. They're done until playoffs.
Because, I mean, if you're St. Thomas and you swept that series, you probably would just be in.
They would be in.
Because they'd be like 12.
Everything was going well.
So it was going fine.
They start selling Coors Light at the rink.
Yeah, I put that in the notes. Big news, beer now available.
And they're these meddling kids from Augustana came in and ruined it all.
The Lutherans show up and they mess up everything.
Screw up everything.
Good little Catholic boys.
Yeah,
it's Lent. They're not eating. They're not eating meat.
Everything's
going
fine.
Very true.
Then these Lutherans show up. These Protestants and
show with burgers. And,
they ruin everything. They're eating cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
It's
terrible.
Chaos.
I don't have a ton of notes on the series. It was a 3-3 tie / shootout win for Augustana, and then a 4-0 win. Friday, actually, interestingly enough, St. Thomas had a 2-goal lead heading into the third. Didn't last. Augustana, digs deep, ties it up like within the last minute. So obviously that's good for them. Not a ton of Minnesotans on the score sheet, but Easton Young scores. Lucas Wallen obviously scores. Joey Del Greco 2 assists. That's cool to see. Josh Kotai having to make a lot of saves lately, which probably isn't a great thing. You don't want to rely that heavily on him because it seems like he's having to make a lot more saves than the opposing teams a lot of times recently. Carson Musser in net Friday for the Tommies. Trotter Saturday. And Saturday it was only 1-0 after 2 periods.
What happened to Will Ingeman? Wasn't he part of the mix? And then he
really hasn't played much lately. I don't know.
Hasn't played much lately. And by the way, under NCAA rules, we can't do this podcast without mentioning Josh Kotai because he is
he's
Mr. Augie every week.
It seems like Augustana's letting him get peppered, and obviously he's good, but probably don't want him to be facing close to 40 shots a game. It's not great. But Saturday, it was 1-0 after 2 periods, and then Augustana just kind of scored 3 in the third. Easton Young, 2 more assists. I feel like he's been really kind of on the score sheet a lot lately.
For sure.
And notably, Hunter Bischoff's still out for Augustana, so that's a player that's out. And just a quick look at the NPI and CCHA rankings before we talk about what's next for each team. Augustana at 17, like you said. St. Thomas at 15. They moved down 3 critical spots with that weekend.
Yeah.
CCHA rank, Augustana currently is in first place. St. Thomas is tied for second with Michigan Tech. But standings are so tight in the CCHA right now that we really can't determine who's playing who until the very end because it's all like 2 points apart from everybody in the top chunk.
And I feel like if I remember looking at the schedule, none of the teams play each other in that group of 5. Right?
I mean, so up next, Augustana, like you said, the regular season's over for them, so they're just sitting and waiting.
Yeah, St. Thomas plays Bemidji.
And St. Thomas plays Bemidji.
Augie's off.
But did you know
St.
Thomas?
Tech play?
I think it might have been our friend Jared from Bemidji said, I don't know if St. Thomas has won in Bemidji
ever.
I don't know. It's. I think the tweet said the building
Jared
hasn't been
know.
kind to them. So
Jared would know.
That some people would go, oh well, that might be easy for them. I don't know about that. So
maybe,
CCHA,
maybe in the NCHC day or NCHA days back when they were all in, weren't they in or no? I guess St. Thomas would have been in the MIAC.
MIAC.
Yeah.
Yep.
So CCHA, just what a weird thing right now, because Bemidji State, we just mentioned them. They play St. Thomas next. They were off this
Tech
weekend.
plays Bowling Green, so that is technically a 3 versus 5.
It's going to be a very interesting weekend. And Bemidji State, since they were idle, NPI ranked their 50th, obviously way out of the conversation. CCHA ranked they are 6th. They're kind of locked into 6th unless Lake State pulls off a bunch of points.
Minnesota State's playing at home versus the Wildcats, the Mildcats.
The Wildcat, yeah, that would favor them then to maybe.
I feel like
take the
they
lead.
have the easiest route to win the league, right?
Yeah, so then
look
they
at
might get it
standings,
easy,
like,
the best seeding.
They can get
but,
the seeding, correct.
and also I haven't heard an update on Adam Fleming yet, just notably for Bemidji. I don't know if you guys have, but I don't know if that'll be that easy for the Tommies then, if that's
No.
a tricky one. But I mean, if you're Bemidji, though, I don't know how much you care about playing St. Thomas if you're like, you know what,
You're rested. You get to play spoiler.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah,
I think this means something.
could
for
be
the
a
Beavers.
trap game for St. Thomas.
And keep
a
in
little
mind,
bit.
St. Thomas is leaving the conference, so maybe it's
Haven't you kind of thought that maybe the officials might kind of give
Oh,
St.
I
Thomas
haven't
a little
thought-
bit of a snub at the end?
I haven't
Yeah.
thought
Like
that
a parting
kind of
gift?
conspiracy theory, but I have
I
thought
like it.
for the teams that are staying behind, saying, "Oh, Big Britches private school from the cities, yeah, we're gonna spank you on your way out of town," that kind of thing.
Oh, I
Yeah.
think that'll definitely be something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. And then the other CCHA one that it's funny, me and Ryan literally sent the same video clip at the same exact time Saturday, I think it was.
Yeah.
Minnesota plays Bowling
That was
Green.
Friday night, I think.
Friday or Saturday.
was
Yeah, I
Friday.
don't remember.
Minnesota State, Bowling Green, yeah.
Yeah.
Fight.
Sweep asterisk because again there was a shootout. There's a lot of shootouts this weekend. It was a 1-1 tie / shootout win for Minnesota State, and then a 5-4 win. And I don't know if you guys watched the videos, but there was like brawls in these games, like brawls.
Yeah. It was like,
Very chippy.
I'm not sure I responded, but I felt like my response was, welcome to, this is what you get when you bring WHL kids in onto your team. They don't mind
Bowling Green.
throwing down a few, and that's
Yeah.
Bowling Green there.
Friday, Scholl and Murr both score Jacob Stender, the overtime game winner. That's cool to see. It's Minnesotans.
Yep.
Saturday, Minnesota State way outshot Bowling Green, but they go to the shootout. Jordan Ron and Jack Smith, I believe, both scored in the shootout. That's cool. Liam Hupka out this weekend as well, still out, so not sure. Haven't heard an update, but that's obviously a piece that's out. And up next, like you said, Northern Michigan comes to town for Minnesota State. They're going to need all 6 points if they want to win the CCHA. They need 6.
If we were to bet, I'm looking at this now. I know who plays who. I feel like still St. Thomas has the inside track for the McNaughton Cup. I really do, because they have a.
Yeah.
I know Bemidji's not easy, but as far as the quality of opponent and.
Maybe they don't sweep, but if they get 4 or 5.
know. I think, put it this way. Let's all agree. We all agree. Minnesota State at 46 points is a lock to get to 52, right? Augustana is already at 50. Michigan Tech's at 48. Do you think they can get all 6 points from Bowling Green?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think.
Tough.
I think the team who can get the most points right now is St. Thomas at Bemidji.
Yeah, I mean,
I really
probably. Yeah, probably. We'll see. It'll
And
be
even
tough, but-
if Tech sweeps Bowling Green, they deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be tough to do. I could see that being
think
like
so
a 3-3 or a 4-2.
Yeah, I think they can get to
Split.
52, but I think St. Thomas can get to 50,
Yeah.
53 or 54 pretty easily up at Bemidji.
Yeah, I agree.
Lovely parting gift. Take the McNaughton Cup with you. On your way out of
take
the
it.
conference,
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet
True.
they don't want that. Ernie wouldn't want that either. So,
Absolutely not.
all right, sorry to jet off, but this is what I was looking at on Saturday.
yeah,
I was like,
for sure.
how is this going to work? And what I think ultimately, when you talk about the math, I think is bad math for that second team to get in.
Yeah. For sure. And Minnesota State, too, they sit at 16 still in the NPI, no change after the weekend. CCHA, they move up to 4th currently in the standings. Again, everything's very close, so it could change very quickly. Before we get into the other conferences, Tony, do you want to talk about the USHL before we move into the other stuff?
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to Glenn Heffron just this week. I know he's going to be in town for the state tournament. The commissioner for the USHL, he'll be in for that. And I talked to you guys a little bit off air about this. He was talking. Somehow word got back that we're big Ethan Wittenbach fans. And I told him how he makes our show every week because of his performance. He goes, I know that kid. I've met him a few times. I have his phone number. I'll get you connected. So he did introduce a text, and one of us will do an interview with Ethan, as I think he will be I think he could be one of the 3 finalists when they announce the winners.
I feel like he's a lock to be a finalist at this point. Who else is?
Are you a voter?
I'm not.
You're a voter, right?
For
I'm not a
Hobie
voter.
Baker.
I am not a Hobie Baker voter.
Not
I'm
a
a
voter.
Richter voter
Okay.
this year, and I believe I'm voting on the Kazmaier, but I'm not a Hobie voter this year. I did my 3-year stint, and
Maybe we rotated for the Kaz because I was Kaz last year, but then my term was up, so they had to bring in somebody
my
else.
term was up. My term was up last year for the Hobie. Not ashamed to admit I voted for Zeev Bouillon. He didn't win it, but I thought he was the best player in college hockey last year. Good for Isaac Howard. I had nothing against him.
They were all good.
Yep.
They all had good years.
For sure.
All had good years. Okay. I think he's got a chance. I feel like these writers just
You never know who's going
they
to
love
for
the
it.
Blue
Yeah.
Bloods. They
That's
love the Blue Bloods. Oh, Michigan State,
Oh gosh.
BU, BC, and all. They don't
If
take.
he doesn't make the top 3, he got robbed.
Yeah, he would be.
I mean, I'll talk about that more later. But.
Yeah. Okay, we'll jump into him. He had 4 points, another 4 points this past weekend.
I think so.
Not as many as Gavin McKenna. We'll get to that later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway,
Yeah.
so USHL, fantastic league. He told me there's some news coming out from the league. He gave it to me, but I can't share
Glenn
with
loves
the
hinting
public.
at the news. Yeah,
He gave you a little tease.
He's giving me a little teaser too, and hey,
news
Nice.
looking forward to it because you're right. It is a fantastic league and huge fan bases wherever they go. Just fun to see, some of these guys and where they've come out of, and you look at some of the guys that Fargo had just in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah,
Such a fun crowd up there, and we've talked before about Dubuque and going down there and seeing, just your eyes popping out of your head at some of the players that have come out of Dubuque, Iowa, of all places. You don't think of it as a hockey town, but it's a legit.
really is.
It's a legit hockey town. Yeah.
Yes, we talked a little bit about just the league moving forward and all the different factors with the CHL and now they're working closely with NHL on some projects and a grant that's coming out, and it'll be all good news for everybody. And I push him every time. Are we getting in the Mem Cup? Are we getting in the Mem Cup? And he's like, hey, we want to be in the Memorial Cup. I'm not sure that the CHL wants us there quite yet, but I think that it will definitely happen someday.
Can't see a lot of Canadian hockey folks right now saying, "Oh yeah, let's bring more Americans in."
Yeah.
Especially
Let's
after
do
the
it.
events of the last week.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's invite them into our last crown jewel, the Memorial Cup. But I think it would be, if you look at the overall, what it would do for hockey in North America, having the USHL champion play in the Mem Cup. That would be.
Yeah.
I would be glued to the television, glued to it,
Absolutely.
watching. I wouldn't miss a minute of that. It'd be good stuff. So it'd be
a
like a
good-
mini World Juniors happening.
A good Medicine Hat Des Moines game.
Yes.
Come on.
Well, it'd just
That'd
be
be
awesome
awesome.
because we're like, okay, this team that's really good, but like, how good are you
How
compared
good
to
are
the
they?
best
And I
team?
think it would make all those leagues really, really
Or
buckle
let's make
down.
all the worst teams play each other.
That'd be even better. That'd be even better.
There'd be any fights in that game.
I
do you
like
think?
that. That'd be spicy. That'd be spicy. All right, let's keep rolling.
Before we
Yeah.
jump into North Dakota, I just have to throw
Yeah.
out a note. I forgot to mention this last week, but one of the things that North Dakota does really well is they have this program called One More Shift, where they bring back
They're players.
a former player who has gone on to bigger things. They've done it with
They
Ed
skate
Belfour.
around it. Yeah, I saw Dave Christian
I
a
was
couple
there with
years
Dave
ago.
Christian. They played the Gophers that night. I'll admit there were a few tears shed. What they do is they bring back a prominent player and they have them decked out in a jersey and the full uniform. They skate in warm-ups. They take a shot at the goalie or whatever, and then they stand with the team for the national anthem.
Love
and
it.
It's just, it's like one more shift. You get to be a fighting hawker and a fighting Sioux or whatever you were for one more shift. Well, 2 weeks ago when they played Miami, Zach Parise came back.
No way.
After going into
to
the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, his distinguished NHL career, all he did there, he was a top 3 Hobie finalist his second year at North Dakota. So cool moment once again. If you don't get chills seeing those guys putting on the green and white one more time and skating around with the old team and the old rink, just a cool moment. Congrats to Zach. A cool year for him with the Hall of Fame and everything else going on in his life, being a hockey dad here in Minnesota again. But
so I was reffing Zach's daughter's game, and he was one of the coaches, and one of the other refs recognized him, and I know who he is, and he knows who I am. When we're talking, kind of the pregame 1 minute chat, and the ref goes, "Hey, is that your parking spot up there?" And he goes, "Oh no, but that's Keith's." I'm like, "Ooh," and I said this to Zach. I go, "Ooh, name dropper, Keith Ballard." He looked at me like, "Yeah, you got me there.
Speaking of youth hockey dads in the Twin Cities and North Dakota guys, I did a nice story on TJ Oshie last week as he's kind of making this transition.
I want to read that.
Oh, really?
I do.
You're going to tell me it was a great story again, but you haven't read it?
No, I want to read that. I do.
One thing he talked about, they moved from the D.C. area where they'd been. They got 4 children. They're in youth sports, all that. He said the biggest difference he's found being in the Twin Cities suburbs now, he said, D.C., there's so much traffic and the rinks are so remote that you can't drop a kid off, go home, and then go pick him up because it takes too long.
Right.
He said, so everybody in D.C. sits and watches their kids practice. He says, here you never see any parents at the practice because it's close enough where you can
just
drop them off
off
at the rink, go home, come back 45 minutes later, pick them up, and you're fine.
Yeah, it's true.
Crazy what you think of as a little difference, but yeah.
Yeah, that is
For
something
sure.
different. Yeah, it was weird. Bloomington, where our kids grew up, there was a rule you had to stay for practices U8 and below.
Interesting.
So it sucked. When Hadley was 8, Jake was playing PBAA, and I'm sitting there texting my buddies, "What's the score?" We have to be chained to the rink, because your kids you had to be there for practice in case they needed their skates tied or whatever. So.
That was always the best, being a youth hockey coach, by the way, and we're getting off on a tangent here, but
we're good.
The parents who would just drop their kids off and leave. And we literally had a family, I won't name names, but one of those parents where they're just always late.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, they're just always late. And honest to God, Tony, 2 shifts into the game, here's a kid standing on the end of the bench with his bag over his shoulder.
Oh, that kid.
In all of his street clothes. It's like, really? And, again, parents just dropping, hey, you're a little late. No big deal. Just tell the coach you need a little help. It's like, well, the game is going on.
Oh, no.
And you don't want to blame the kid. It's not his fault.
The kid's fault. I know.
But literally, 2 shifts, and he's just standing there. Hey, coach, got his bag slung over his shoulder. No skates on.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, those are the worst. Those are the hockey. That's the kid that's not very good too.
Yep.
No offense, because he's not given the chances.
They're not given a chance. Yeah.
And they're, he's just, I feel
so
bad
hockey
for kids
parents
like
out
that.
there, punctuality. Make it a part of your life.
It's one of the things, Keith. One of the lessons you learn being a hockey person. So you got to be on time.
Yep.
All right, let's keep rolling, Sid.
For sure. North Dakota sweep asterisk, but not really split. I don't even know what to call this. Shootout win for St. Cloud State, and then a regulation win for North Dakota. So call it whatever you want to call it. It was a 4-4 tie shootout win for St. Cloud Friday, 6-4 win for North Dakota Saturday. Friday, what's going on? Adam Ingram and Damon Gardner both scoring a game?
I couldn't believe it. Well, you also
where has this been all year?
Your Huskies blew a lead too. You definitely left that part.
Oh, a lot of people online, I saw Huskies fans like, "Oh, we played with them." I'm like, "No, I'm mad that they didn't win both games because they could have."
I agree.
So I'm more frustrated that they did not win.
Did somebody need to remind Brett Larson that those 2 guys are on the team? I mean, where have they been?
They've just done nothing all year until I guess this weekend. Adam Ingram scored both nights, and we're like, where has this been the entire season, my guy?
I think he had something personal.
I don't know. I hope it's nothing. Again, I hope
I'm going
it's
to the
nothing
golf
bad.
tournament. I go to the golf tournament every year. That'll be question 6 of my 10 questions with Brett.
But
why Adam Ingram?
I'm glad they both did, because as guys that are draft picks, I want them to go on to do good things.
Do well, yeah.
But, having, not the best seasons. But Friday, Austin Brnovik also has 2 goals. Will Zellers has 2 goals. Cody Kroll has a big goal. There's a lot of Minnesotans.
There were a lot
having big goals that night.
I think Jack, what's his name, had the big goal.
Jack Kernan had a big one
goal
Saturday.
Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
He got the 5th goal,
the game
didn't he?
winner, technically.
Yeah.
Big one. And also big for North Dakota, they got Josh Zakreski back from injury. He's been out for a while, and he scored, I think, like right away in one of the games. So that was big for them.
Are North Dakota's goals allowed a concern for either of you two?
Eight
goals allowed?
8 goals on a weekend you give up, and you wind up getting, all but 1
5.
point. That's
they played the other goalie Saturday. It was Homer Saturday. They've been running with Spunar, but it was senior night Saturday, so I don't know if that's why they played him, because the other guy's a freshman. So I don't know if he just didn't start for that reason. But Saturday, Gavin Thorson had 3 points. Tanner Henricks had a really pretty goal. That was a good replay. Nolan Rode and Bennett Zmalik got into it at the end, both booted. Game missed.
Nolan's got a temper.
I mean, Gavin Thorson you could tell he was talking
he was itching.
all night.
He was
I think
itching
that's
to
why
get in a
all of a
fight.
sudden he was scoring goals Saturday. He was, drawing those penalties. That's what he does. So
he
good.
does it so well.
But then there's also a goalie change for St. Cloud. I thought their goaltending's been fine, and then last weekend, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, goaltending's now an issue for St. Cloud. And Shostak was pulled after the first 3 goals Saturday. So just a weird weekend. I don't know. North Dakota, no change in the pairwise. St. Cloud's at 23 again. They're out. They have to win.
Yeah, they're
out
done
now.
Sneaky fun rivalry between those 2 teams.
Very
so
sneaky.
You don't think of them as
so
arch
too.
rivals, but they're right up, the freeway from each other. They're geographically relatively close. Both schools academically are kind of in the same realm, I would say. And been in the conference a long time. Kind of a sneaky fun
I have
rivalry.
a very fun story. I'll be Jess Myers here for
Does
a
it have
second.
to do with
Absolutely.
boots? Does anyone is North Dakota fan wearing boots at all?
No,
Okay, good,
this is
good.
actually no, it's not.
Snakeskin boots.
No, it's about going to Grand Forks and watching a game in Grand Forks. So
Did you wear a St. Cloud jersey?
Yes, but so to make
Just
this
wanna make sure.
story, before I got into sports writing, because it was during COVID when I was done with college, and job market was all weird. Obviously, it's COVID. There's not many sports being played. I did a year of grad school where I helped teach international students English. And there was a fan bus.
I did not know this.
There was a fan bus going up to Grand Forks of St. Cloud State students. So I got one of our international students to come with to his first hockey game ever, a student from Jamaica, to come with on this fan bus. And we go to Grand Forks and we lose horribly, so bad. So not a great, not much to cheer for that night. But
Right.
he's there. He's taking pictures of all the Ralph and just
That's awesome.
amazed. And then, but we would look out the window and he'd be like, oh, is there anything like cool to see in North Dakota? I'm like, we stopped in
You've seen
Fargo.
it.
I'm like, this is it.
You've seen it.
You can watch your dog run away
is
for
it.
3 days, as they say.
So I'm like, you've seen the rink. We stopped in Fargo. There you go.
It
But
sounds-
I brought a Jamaican international student to his first game
That's
at the
fantastic.
Ralph. And I think he was just blown away
Hockey
by
ambassador,
the
Sydney
Ralph.
Wolf.
I love it. That reminds
was
me of
great.
taking. I talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago. I took my friends. We had these college friends from out of town, and it was the night where Zemer went between the legs and all these great goals.
Yeah.
Sure.
Barn is rocking at Mariucci and like, this is great. It's unbelievable. I'm like, you should have been at the Boston College game on a Thursday
Yeah,
night. You wouldn't be saying the same thing. You just need the right deal where you got a dog of a game and he still loved it. That's cool.
Yeah, so I don't know if that guy's a hockey fan anymore. I don't know what happened to that guy, but it wasn't a good game for St. Cloud, but maybe he became a North Dakota fan.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I love it.
But I thought that was kind of funny. North Dakota.
I thought you were going to follow it up with, and now that Jamaican student is my husband. No.
No, it's not.
That would have been an even better story.
No, I do not know what happened to that guy. I just remember asking a bunch of the people that
Somewhere
worked with me about it.
Moorhead and Barnesville, we fell in love.
I just asked all the people I work with. which
Nothing
were-
against your husband.
No,
We're making
not
jokes
from
out of it.
Jamaica. Not from Jamaica. I just remember I asked all these people that were from like Jamaica, El Salvador, and like Ukraine, and all these like random places.
Yeah.
I'm like, who wants to come to the hockey game? And the one guy was like, I'll do it. I'm like, okay, well, let's
Here we
go.
go.
Let's go. You don't
I
know
love
anything
it.
about
You're
hockey.
So
Let's go.
accepting. I like that.
So it was very
I
fun.
like that.
That's awesome. You were an ambassador for the sport.
Yeah,
I
I was
love it.
like, you know what? Let's go. It'll be fun. Field trip for you. But North Dakota, not really much change in the pairwise for either of those teams, but
they're pretty locked in.
NCHC standings kind of crazy at the top and at the bottom right now. North Dakota,
take a look.
If they would have swept St. Cloud, I believe the Penrose was in the building. They could have gotten it, but
that 1 point.
Denver is now 1 point away.
Yeah,
so
technically
now
they are
it
within
comes
5.
down to the last weekend. Because if Denver would have gotten swept or I don't. Did Denver play this weekend? I don't remember.
Has the Penrose ever actually left that building?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like North Dakota wins that every year.
No, St. Cloud's won the Penrose
down.
multiple times.
No, I mean, I know, but it just seems like that's just North Dakota's trophy.
And Denver, too. Well, North Dakota had to share it with Denver for a while, I think.
Oh.
It was a shared trophy, I think, one of the years.
St. Cloud is done skiing.
I was in, speaking of sharing trophies, I was in the building the controversial night that the Huskies had already clinched a share of the McNaughton Cup. This was back in the late stages. It was the last year of the old WCHA. The Huskies had already clinched, but they didn't have the trophy. The Gophers still had it from the previous year. Gophers win in Bemidji that night, and Grant Patolny, who was an assistant with the Gophers at the time, had driven the trophy up, and they're celebrating with the trophy in Bemidji. And Motzko and the Huskies are like, "Hey, wait a minute! Don't we own that?" And highly controversial.
That is controversial.
Yeah, like you said, Tony, St. Cloud is off now, and now it's just kind of up to fate what happens. They'll finish 5th or 6th in the NCHC pending results. I think there is some way they could finish 7th if there's some weird scenario, but it's looking like mostly 5th or 6th. And North Dakota is at Western Michigan. The Penrose is on the line.
Yeah.
I think Western could win the Penrose as
well,
but they
sweep
need to
them
fully
all 6
sweep.
points.
So this is
or
a
5
big weekend.
Or 5.
Yeah, I don't.
No, 5 wouldn't do it.
There's a lot of tiebreaker scenarios.
They need to win all 6.
So
Western
this is a weird
6.
weekend where it's kind of like, okay, who wants to win the Penrose? I know technically it doesn't mean as much as winning a national title, but still it's winning something.
Ooh. Denver plays at home against lowly ASU this weekend. They could win all 6 pretty darn easily, too.
So it's kind of any of those
I think
top
it's
3.
all North Dakota needs is a shootout, and they will clinch.
Because Duluth is locked in at 4. So it's kind of just those top 3
they're right in the middle.
that are kind of duking it out right now. And speaking of Minnesota Duluth, they sweep Miami this weekend, which is good because Miami's
back up to 8 now.
They're a solid team. And Friday, Max Plant scores on his 20th birthday.
Yep.
Seems like a pretty good birthday present. Jason Shogby has a goal. Miami did have a 2-goal lead actually, but then Minnesota Duluth just scores 5 straight.
That's a big sweep for them.
I think so too. It's
they
good.
have clinched 4th place now, or they've clinched a home ice slot, and and by NCHC law, they have to play the Huskies in the playoffs.
Pretty much.
That seems
it's
like
a rule, right?
Every year.
It's what happens.
I think it's in the rule book.
I think it's what happens every year. A little backstory on Minnesota Duluth. I don't know if we talked about this last week, but the guy who was Bulldog hockey, Bulldog sports in general, Hoagie, Dale Hogginson, 65 years old. He had a stroke on Christmas Day. He was a beloved guy, had a learning disability, but he worked with all the teams up there. Not only all the Bulldog teams, but like the Duluth Huskies, the minor league baseball team. And he was sports in the Twin Ports. Just a beloved guy. He passed away last week. Well, they had a jersey with his name on it on the bench. And credit our friend Bruce Siskey. Again, he looked it up. I think it was the first time since 2017 that the Bulldog men and the Bulldog women both had a sweep in the same weekend.
Yeah.
You can't tell me there wasn't a little, let's do this for Hoagie kind of thing. I got to tell just my favorite ever.
I got a Hoagie story, too.
I got to tell my favorite.
Mine's real short.
Mine's pretty short, too. But Hoagie talked with a little bit of a lisp or a little bit of a,
he's a great guy.
Speech disorder, but... my friend Chris Long, who's at Channel 5 now, told me this story. He was in TV in Duluth at the time. This is, I want to say, 2005. Pretty good Bulldogs player all of a sudden is not playing this weekend. It's mysterious. Why is this player out of the lineup?
Do you remember his name?
I do, but I'm not going to say
it. Good. It makes a story.
I'm going to redact the name
to
say that. But this player's out of the lineup. Well, Chris is there for TV, and he sees Hoagie. He says, "Hey, Hoagie, why isn't this guy in the lineup?" Hoagie gets real nervous. He kind of looks around, and then he goes, "Guades."
I read so many good stories.
Little academic suspension for 1 weekend.
That is good. That is good.
On Facebook, I read so many great stories from everybody over the weekend of people sharing some. I'm like, wow, there's so many gems of stories out there.
This will kind of build on what everybody you're saying, Jess, a little bit. I was talking to Duluth Northern Stars head coach Allie Randall, the head coach for the high school program, and she's just going on and on. We were talking for about a half an hour. She was going on and on about Hoagie. I'm like, how is he involved with you? And he goes, he was at every one of our games. He traveled with us. I was like, what? He goes, this guy's everywhere.
Yeah.
And, the day we found out he was going into hospice was our final game where we lost at Andover that day. It was a little bit of a rough day for the girls, but we knew Hoagie was with us. And I was like, that is so cool. When I think of Hoagie, I think of UMD.
Yeah.
I don't think of the Duluth East or Duluth High School girls or, like you said, all these other programs that he was attached to. So
he was everywhere. So I know there's a kind of a memorial service for him coming up. It was funny talking to my friend Bob Nygaard, the longtime SID there. He said they're doing a funeral service at Holy Rosary, which is kind of the big cathedral in the east side of Duluth. Very large Catholic church.
Yeah.
And it said, it's for close friends of his only. They'll fill the place. I mean,
I'm sure. Yeah.
Act.
Yeah, because you think of how many lives he touched, and every Bulldog player I know. The last 2 months, the conversation with everybody: how's Hoagie? What have you heard?
Right.
And just like I say, had a stroke and just never really turned the corner in recovery. And
bad.
sad
What a
deal,
great dude.
But I got to think that there was a little bit of inspiration for the Bulldog men and the Bulldog
and
women who came down to Ritter Arena.
I saw they had a good overtime winner one of the nights.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, and if you're Gopher women's team, let's admit there's a little bit of an asterisk because you've got a couple of key players winning gold medals. So you're not playing with a full squad, but yeah, great for the Bulldogs and great way to remember Hoagie by winning some hockey games and kind of solidifying their position. Because let's face it hadn't been a great month or so for the Bulldog men.
Yeah, correct.
Friday, a few more game notes. Bradley Walker, Minnesotan, major in game misconduct for spearing.
He's a aggressive player.
That's funny.
That's an old-fashioned penalty. Spearing. We don't hear about that one as much anymore.
Saw a few recently, randomly, but
butt ending and spearing. It seems like they've fallen out of favor. So
Ethan Dahlmeyer, the win in net both nights. That's cool to see. Yep. Saturday, Pionk and Max Plant both score Miami power play, notably 0 for 7. Not great. Minnesota Duluth moves up 2 spots with the win in the NPI. And in the NCHC, they are 4th place, locked in there for UMD. The opponent will depend on many variables this weekend for the playoffs, depending on how CC and Miami do, since St. Cloud is idle. CC and Miami, I think, both need 5 points to tie St. Cloud. Seems unlikely for CC because they play Duluth next.
Correct.
And Miami plays Omaha, who they already have swept this season. So there's so many different things that could happen this season. But classic, it would just be UMD and St. Cloud. So we will see. But it kind of depends on Miami, UNO as well. Or if CC just has a great weekend. But I feel like Duluth kind of found their footing now a little bit.
I feel like they did too.
And keep in mind, they're getting their starting goalie back.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Adam Guyan, who was in the Olympics as the third stringer for...
Correct.
For Slovakia, I believe. Yeah. So.
Yep. And then
who got the bronze?
Wasn't it
Finland got the bronze.
Yeah, Finland.
Okay.
Yep. Minnesota was off this
Eric
week.
Holla, by the way, former Gopher with a couple of goals.
Huge goals.
The guys, I think it's the Gopher Hockey Stats, or those guys are the Gopher Game Notes guys on social media, noted first non-American Gopher to score a goal in the Olympics. Eric Holla.
Really?
So good for him.
Of course he has that. That guy's
I think Matthew Nyes probably could have played for Slovakia if he wanted to, because both of his parents are Slovakian. And
sure, seriously.
He could, probably.
Probably could have.
I saw some reel or TikTok where he was asking what were the Leafs doing. And were they cheering for Austin Matthews? There was a lot of conflicting, Marner's playing for, he goes, we had a bunch of Canadians and a bunch of Americans bets, and we get free dinner tonight kind of thing. It was just, Matthews such a good kid. He was his answers were spot on. It was fun to watch his reaction to it. And considering he was one of the probably last 5 kids not picked,
Speaking of this topic, the Wild practiced at 11 a.m. yesterday. Well, the game's at 7. It got done about 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, talking to more than one member of the Wild who lives in the western suburbs, they watched the first 2 periods at home and then had to get to the rink. Well, Tria Rink is all the way across town. So like Marcus Foligno admitted, watched the first 2 periods, hopped in my car to get here for the third. And I'm thinking, your average intermission, it's going to take a little bit longer than it would to drive from the western suburbs.
Average intermission. Not the Olympic intermission.
Downtown St. Paul. I said, were you going the speed limit? And he kind of winked. He said, I didn't see any cops. Let's put it that way. So
yeah, at that hour, probably not. Probably not. Can we just speed bump over that the Gophers didn't play?
Yeah, Gophers didn't play. Nothing really changes. Big Ten.
No news and plenty of it.
Oh,
they're 6th, but they are 1 point behind Ohio State. That's notable. Otherwise, up next for them, they are at Michigan Thursday, Friday. So fans take note. It's not Friday, Saturday. It's Thursday, Friday.
Yeah. Are there any fans left?
Are there any fans left?
That's a big question. I got plenty of people asking me questions about the Gophers.
Here's what I'll say, though. I've asked Bob Motzko this a lot of times after a bad game. Do you learn from this one, or do you crumple this one up and throw it away? And weirdly, we're talking about a whole season now. Do you learn from this season, or do you just write this off as a year where a lot of stuff went wrong and just start over? It's weird that we're talking about that for an entire season for a program like Minnesota, but a couple weeks left in the Big Ten season, and here we are.
I have a friend who reached out during the gold medal game, and then all of a sudden he quickly veered the conversation towards the Gophers, and he goes, the first question, is Motzko going to get fired? I'm like, no, not even close, no chance. He just can't do this 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
He did this 2 years in a row, then I think people would be, the skeletons will be coming out of the closet if that happened. But I don't think it's going to happen 2 years in a row.
Nope.
Yeah.
He's too smart, too good of a guy, understands the game, his recruiting's solid. I think they'll be back. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah, it's not like they forgot how to play hockey at Minnesota just because you're having a lousy year.
Right. Yeah. Before we go into other notables, shout out APX Hockey. I don't have many college notes, but I wanted to, since we're a sponsor here, shout out some of our high school athletes. We had about a third of the Farmington team, probably for girls. So I was trying to watch the Farmington Centennial game and was cheering for them because they played so well at the state tournament. That Farmington
they really
team.
Gave it to Centennial.
And shout out one of our athletes, Taylor Risch, making the all-tournament team. Love to see that. That's awesome. And I saw some of our athletes, too, had big goals this weekend. I saw you guys tweeted the Logan Smith, was it the Squirt-tacular photo? He had that big goal. That was a big game.
Huge.
Chan and Shakopee.
That game again. The score wasn't the same, but it was awesome. It had a very similar feel to the U.S.-Canada game where Shakopee just completely dominated.
So I saw
Chan, and then they got this goal,
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it was Logan! It's cool."
Yeah,
because I think we only have maybe 1 or 2 athletes from Chan, and I was like, "Well, let's go."
Yeah, good for him. His brother Tyler played on that runner-up state champion runner-up team in 2023, and then he's got a little sister named Olive, who's a heck of a player on Chaska Chan's 12A team. So good family.
Quick note, since we're talking girls hockey in the state tournament, and we're talking Gophers a little bit. John Pohl, congratulations, head coach at Hail Murray, wins his second straight AA state title with the Pioneers. Talked to him a little bit after their first round game against Lakeville North, and he brought up a topic I hadn't thought of. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Ooh.
USA Hockey National Team Development Program has done some great stuff. Why isn't there one for women? Why isn't there...
Do you not know the answer?
Why isn't there a junior hockey level for women in the United States? He talked about the fact that most of the development in Minnesota hockey has to come at the high school level.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And interesting topic.
I remember Peter and Kayla were in the room when they was bringing it up, and it's going to be a topic. What's today? Tomorrow when we're talking about her ice. So yeah, I agree.
Just a thought.
Interesting note though about that is there is not. I believe the National Development Program is fully funded by the National Hockey League.
Sure.
There's a grant by the NHL to the USA Hockey for that program. So there is not a budget from and once if the PWHL wants to do that, yeah, I'm sure if they want to give a $4.6 million grant to develop 20 hockey players, 40 hockey players, go for it. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of the program. I'm not a fan of the amount of money they spend for 40 players. I think they could spend that money and grow the game far more and do way better as far as development's concerned. And I'll use the Lucius family as my example. And you could use the Hughes family too. Do you think they really needed to go to Michigan to get developed? I think they had plenty of resources to develop right here at home or right there in wherever you live. I think we could use that money, in my opinion. You could use that money to develop. Let's go find 10 more Keandre Millers. That would be my goal, is to identify great athletic kids like Keandre. I mean, Keandre was the best basketball player, best football player, best baseball player. He was the best athlete, Jake and Jacob's age, when we were growing up. I remember a friend of mine from Bloomington, we were playing basketball the other day, and they had this kid named Keandre. I'm like, yeah, we know. He plays hockey too. That's the kids we got to identify.
I did say this in the wake of winning a couple of gold medals in the past week for American hockey. I said, still, to this day, 2026, February, whatever it is, think of 20-year-old American athletes and think of the 100 best athletes in the United States who are 20 years old.
Right.
How many of them play hockey?
Probably
as
zero.
Their primary sport.
Yeah.
Probably zero.
I would say maybe 3.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Out of 100?
Too many, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say 30 of them play football and 38 of them play basketball and maybe a couple golfers, maybe a couple, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe 3 of them play hockey as their primary sport. Now think about this. Think of what American hockey could be if 15 of them are playing hockey as their primary sport.
Totally agree.
So I think that's a little what you're talking about.
That's kind of the point I'm getting at.
Keandre Millers, who are amazing athletes.
Yep.
If you can get those guys to play hockey, we've used the TJ Oshie for example before, where he was could have been a star basketball player.
Anything.
Decided, hey, I'm 5'8", I'm not going to grow much. I'm going to be a hockey player instead. Guys like that. And it has nothing to do with race or anything like that. It's more just who's a good athlete.
I'm with you.
And
that's what the National Development Program should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's my dream.
Let's develop some athletes here.
Yeah.
Let's
not give Chaz and Cruz a free ride, right? No offense
The
to
people
Chaz,
that
they
are
were good
already
athletes.
the best players, yeah.
They didn't need
some of
it,
that
is what
can
I'm
be
saying.
done by just like colleges do. The amount of financial need you have.
Correct.
Study it that way.
Correct.
And nothing. I like the Lucius family. I get along great with them. I loved covering Chaz when he was a Gopher for that one season, injury-marred season, and he wound up actually having to retire early because of all the injuries. I think they're a fantastic family. They're an easy target, okay, because they're hockey parents and they have money.
Yeah, that's all my point. There's plenty of them out there.
And, their kids committed to the U of M at 14, and they wound up getting, I think it was 18 games in a Gopher jersey out of one of the two. It didn't work out the way anybody planned, but, it's so easy to be a critic of a family like that. But, I've got nothing against them, but it should be maybe based on financial needs.
I only use them to illustrate my point of many of our families that are going to the program have the means already to develop their players. They don't need to leave home to do it, is my point.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, again, that was kind of a long way around it, but shout out APX. Thanks for sponsoring the show. And I believe we still have some spots left at the MAP South program and with our girls program as well. So if you're looking for something to do this summer, somewhere to train, look us up, apx-hockey.com. Or if you need an advisor, we got plenty of great ones ready
advisors
for you. Couple other notable games and just updates in general. Ethan Wittenbach update, according to Mike Gould on Twitter, Ethan Wittenbach 10 points away from setting a new record for most points by any player of any age in the ECAC this century.
Seriously.
So I feel like that has to put him as a Hobie finalist.
Yeah,
but
I like
we'll
that.
see. This was made official, I believe, this morning. Tom Upton hired as the next head
Stop
coach of
it.
Brown. Yeah. Isn't that
It's
crazy?
incredible.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know,
He was a Magician's head coach.
yeah, Texas guy, played D3 at
Minnesota
Stevens
Magicians.
Point.
He was a Magician's
Richfield,
head
Minnesota.
coach like in
Yeah.
2016 or
Has
17.
Coached in the
Good for him.
USHL,
Crazy.
NAHL, then was on staff at Mercyhurst.
Yes.
And then he was the head coach at the Madison Capitals, and I remember talking to him the season that Madison, I think, made it to...
They were
They were
good.
the Clark Cup runner-up
Yeah.
to Sioux City that year, I believe.
Oh, that was they had the Middlesteads on that team. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure.
Yes, Luke was on that team. And most recently, he's been on staff at UMass.
Yep.
So that, I believe, was just made official. I think I saw this morning, which I saw some people thought was funny because isn't there like a blizzard going on right now?
I don't know if it hit or not.
It
was a threat of it coming.
Like
East Coast is getting buried, yep.
Did
Something
it actually
like
hit, though? We always hear about these tsunamis, and they don't actually happen.
But I think that'll be a good hire. I'm excited for that. Bentley, shout out, our weekly Bentley shout out.
What happened now?
Bentley
they split,
clinched the Atlantic Hockey regular season title.
Yeah.
First ever program history, apparently.
Good for Bentley.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what
Did
I
they
read.
tie? I feel like they won it last year.
I think they, I don't know.
Did Holy
I saw
Cross
somebody-
beat them out last year?
Backing up just a tiny
regular
bit,
season.
Brown has got to be an untapped resource, right? I mean, you think about ECAC hockey.
Yeah.
Every team, it seems like, has had that one good year, that one run
Yeah.
they've made. I have never heard that
Never.
from Brown. And it's a great school.
Obviously.
It's in Providence. It's in a hockey market.
Yeah.
I think
Let's
that's
do some digging on that.
yeah, that's got to be an untapped thing.
Guess what?
Yeah, regular season champions for Atlantic Hockey. Holy Cross, RIT, AIC, AIC.
So Holy Cross won it last year?
Bentley won the tournament last year, but they
Yep,
didn't.
and got into the
win.
NCAAs. Remember,
Yeah.
they gave BC a heck of a run.
Oh, yeah. And
Yes.
they split with Maine, too,
Put
that
the
year.
fear of God in
Last year.
The regular season title, it looks like,
Was Holy
for a
Cross.
while was dominated by now
AIC.
RIP AIC.
Yeah, there you go.
RIPAIC.
But the last 3 years were Holy Cross RIT.
I got to say, for a St. Cloud State grad to bring up AIC, that
it's
takes
painful.
That takes some guts.
Yes.
I was at that game in person on the glass.
Oh, jeez.
So shout out Bentley, our weekly Bentley
I
shout
love
out.
it. I'll give them a little note. I like that.
Penn State, it seems like they've
Wait,
had a lot of
quick Brown, really
yeah,
quick.
Yeah, Brown.
I am running. We normally run our NAIF Combine Girls Camp in Boston. We
Okay.
run it in Somerville. It's a small little community just west of Logan, probably 10 minutes west of Logan, and very near Waltham where
You can't
Bentley
go
is.
east of Logan. That's an ocean.
No, it'd be tough. I had to think about it for a second. I get my directions set there. But this year, because of the World Cup in Boston for the month of June, they're charging families charging people $500 to $600 a night every night in the month of June.
Okay.
For the World Cup. So we're moving our camp a little bit south, or a little bit, whatever it is, it'll be south and east,
south and west. Yeah, out
to Cranston, Rhode Island, which is in Providence. So I
Outstanding.
will be at Brown University just for you to
Nice.
check it out and meet Tommy Upton for a quick interview because he's got some definite Minnesota ties.
Do yourself a favor. There's a neighborhood in downtown Providence area called Federal Hill. It's their Little Italy.
Okay.
Go to a place called the Old Canteen.
I will.
It is, if you've ever watched any kind of mafia movie with an Italian restaurant in it, that's the place.
I like it.
It's got the
Nice.
pink tablecloths. It's got the 98-year-old maitre d' seating
I
everyone.
love that.
And it's got amazing food. Go to Federal Hill. Get
Okay.
yourself
Federal Hill.
Get yourself a nice plate of pasta with some Italian sausage. It's
Just like the one we had in Boston. What was that place
oh
called?
yeah,
Do
fantastic.
you remember the name of that
I
place?
don't remember the name of that.
It was
but
good, though.
We
In the
went out
basement
and-
kind of place.
Yeah,
It was
went
good.
down the basement. We were eating fresh
good.
seafood.
It was good.
I've got the can koozie from the Boston Frozen Four. So
Nice.
sorry, Mankato fans. Too soon?
Wow.
No, the Mankato fans. Here's my recap of that 22 final Frozen Four. Mankato fans finally learned what it's like to be a true Minnesota fan.
Yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
absolute devastating choke loss third
Yeah.
period.
We've
had plenty of them as Minnesota fans.
This will shock you. Here's a side note. 3 hours after MSU Mankato has a third period lead and falls apart and loses, I think it was 5-1 to Denver in
Yeah.
the national championship game. Well, you know how writing on deadline works. You have to
Oh,
write
yeah.
your story in advance. So 3 hours after that game, we're at the media hotel. We're at the hotel bar, and myself, friend of mine from the Star Tribune, friend of mine from College Hockey News, like 5-6 of us are reading out loud our Mankato wins the national championship stories that we had already written, and we're comparing our take on
that's good.
on how we
That
mine
is
was
good.
from the Big Bend in the Minnesota River to the banks of the Charles River.
There we go.
Another friend of mine named off all these legendary bars in Mankato where they would be celebrating that night. It was so hilarious and yet so sad at the same time.
Yeah, that's the way I felt.
They had it in their grasp.
I literally, because, after watching them go through the red carpet, going up that escalator to the rink in Boston, I was like, that place was just rocking, absolutely rocking with Mankato fans. I was getting the chills. This is so cool. They're going to win tonight. I have a
picture somewhere, but there was a Mankato fan. I never got his name, but he had the full-on Revolutionary War, the tri-corner hat, the puffy shirt, the knickers, all of that, but it was all purple. I thought,
some of the costumes.
You've made an effort, good for you.
I loved it. And it was so funny because obviously it was definitely a 2/3, 1/3 crowd. Mankato had 2/3. And the Denver fans, you didn't even hear them until they got a 3-goal lead. It was like, we're not going to start cheering until we know for sure we're winning a natty here.
I've praised North Dakota fans because they show up everywhere.
Yeah, Denver
is
brutal.
just the opposite.
It's a fantastic program. A couple years ago.
It's a fantastic program, but they've got like 23 fans that travel with them. It's just
brutal.
Denver, step it up. Come
Spoiled.
on. You got 10 national championship banners.
Spoiled.
And you've got 23 fans. I mean, come on, step it up.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. All right, keep noting us.
Okay, Penn State, we already said, has had kind of a lot of injuries this year.
Gavin McKenna had 7 assists in one game.
Yeah,
they've got like 17 healthy players right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, it's one thing to say, God, we've had a lot of injuries. It's another thing that like they're literally talking about, can we grab a couple guys from the club team?
Well, notably,
it's that bad.
Well, whenever guys are hurt, they always like make these statement posts that I don't know if you saw the one for this, but Dane Dowiak is now out for the rest of the season. Apparently, he had
Charlie Serrato's gone. I mean,
and it's not. I feel like Charlie Serrato's back. I feel like I saw.
You feel like he's back?
You got a vibe? You got a feeling?
Let me look it up. You got.
When I heard he was out for the year, I was like, "Oh, that's too bad." But
and I mean, maybe I hope so.
Maybe I saw a video where it was an
he's
old
out for
video.
The season.
I hope so.
Maybe it was an old video.
Yeah,
he has not played since January 9th.
Okay,
and we heard that
I'm wrong.
And we heard that Jack Ivankovic was going to be out until the playoffs, and he came back earlier than expected.
Yeah.
So I certainly hope that's the case.
I feel like I saw a video where it must have been an old video of where you see those reels of teams.
Yeah.
And it was Serrato to this guy, and I was like, maybe that was. I thought he was back, and maybe it was an old video that I.
Yeah, Gavin McKenna's on fire, as you said in the notes, and he's had to be because again they're running out of bodies. It's like he's their whole team now.
They're still going to the show though. They're still going.
Oh yeah, they'll be in the tournament. They could potentially go back to the Frozen Four, and that'd be great.
I think of them a regional final loser. That's what I think of them as.
Yeah, that seems like. That seems right. An inspiring story of banding together in the face of all these injuries.
Right,
coming up just short.
Yeah,
just that
feels like that's what they'll end up doing.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries as well for Notre Dame, Nick Kempf, goalie, went down. So Luke Pearson, who's a transfer from Yale, played most of the weekend. So I'm not sure about the status on that one either, but obviously that would be a hit for already a bad Notre Dame team.
Gave up a snowman on Saturday too.
Yeah.
If you saw it, I guess it was a Thursday-Friday series, but the second game was 8-2.
Bad.
Michigan State. After the Thursday game was a great game.
Yeah.
Back and forth, and the Irish giving them all they can handle, and then Nick Kempf goes out. He was part of the World Junior team for USA Hockey, and.
I heard it was kind of iffy, too, because he went out, and then apparently Pearson got run into, so they were like, oh, no. But then he was okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's what I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, God, just what they need.
And the other big news of the week was there's rumors that it sounds like Maryville might actually start or announce their intentions to start their D1 program, which sounds like it has a lot more basis than when we were like, Oklahoma State.
This is not Oklahoma State.
This is a school that already has set fundraising goals and has had intentions, and they're in St. Louis, so they'd already have kind of a rival with Lindenwood and all
That's gonna
that
be good.
stuff.
Yep.
And I texted, too, because then if they join the independent teams, isn't it usually you need, 6 teams? Because I think the independents would have 6 then if they joined.
What are they going to be called? The Independent Conference?
I don't know, but then don't you need that amount of teams to get the auto bid? So you're not just a rando conference?
Oh, yeah.
Because right now they can have a tournament, but it doesn't matter.
Right, I never thought of that.
If Tennessee State was here, then great, but we haven't heard anything, so they're definitely not starting next year at this point. Because they have no recruits that we've heard of. But Maryville sounds like, and they're probably not going to be for next year. It sounds like they'd be for
27,
28. Because they'd have to start recruiting. But it sounds like they're actually invested in it. So then maybe by then they'd be able to get an independent conference, and maybe then they'd be able to have like an auto bid.
That would be nice. Well, the thing is, like, oh, why would they want to do a conference with Alaska? You know,
but if it gets you in an NCAA tournament,
they're going to have to play them event. They're going to have to play
gives
them.
you something to play for. Yeah.
Plus, it gives you a bit of an easier starting point as well. You're not joining a conference where you're going to get just demolished every night if you're playing maybe some of those other schools.
Correct. They're going to get a lot of AHA games.
That'd probably help too. Like, again, I don't think Tennessee State is happening, but then maybe eventually in the next 5 years, if they did end up getting a little bit more help, then maybe it'd be a little better if they're already like, okay, the conference is established now, so whenever you do get it going, we're ready.
Way too many roadblocks for Tennessee State.
It's
and you're absolutely right about the recruits. Because that's how you find out a program is actually happening. You know,
if people are
a year and a half before Lindenwood announced they were a Division I program, there were kids announcing, "I'm committing to play Division I hockey at Lindenwood." Yeah. And it's like, so I finally called up Rick Zombo, who was the coach at the time, and I said, "Okay, either you're going to announce you're a Division I program, or you're recruiting kids on a false, a false premise." And he said, okay, off the record, we're going to announce at this point that we're going Division I. So that's how we're recruiting kids with the promise that you're going to play Division I.
Tennessee State had a full 20-plus roster all ready to go for this season.
Yeah.
And they couldn't deliver on any of their promises.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see, but that'd be super cool, especially if we'd get,
And Illinois,
conference. Yeah. Well, because then maybe if Maryville's like legit and then they're like, okay, we have this many for a conference, then maybe that would be, the thing for a few other schools to be like, okay, well, if there is a conference now, then it's a little more enticing instead of going, okay, you have to be an independent.
I still feel like, no offense to Maryville and Lindenwood, college hockey needs the sexy schools. It needs Oregon.
Maryville's not. Most people don't even. I didn't even really know what Maryville was.
I will say though, every one of those schools means 20 more opportunities for kids from Minnesota to get a college hockey access, Division I access,
and also for a school like Maryville or a school like Lindenwood or a school like Bemidji State. If you live in Somerville, Massachusetts, why have you heard of Bemidji State University?
Because of Division I hockey.
They've got a Division I hockey program.
Yeah.
I'll say it, I had never heard of Maryville. Now they're on my radar. This is why teams do this.
I think they're a lot like
one of the reasons teams do this. I've heard more than one chancellor at UMD, where I went to school, say, hockey is the front window.
It is.
Hockey is what introduces us to the world.
Yep.
So
that's a good sport.
I think Maryville's a lot like the other schools in Minnesota, like the St. Cloud and Bemidji and Mankato's, where I think they're D2, and I think they probably play all the other schools and the other sports like that, and then they're opting to play up for hockey, which is kind of cool.
Had you heard of Ferris State other than as a hocky program?
Yeah,
I had because my brother played at St. Olaf, and they were a dominant back in the NAIA days when it was a split between NAIA and NCAA, so they were a very good equivalent of a Division III program. Right. But because of that, what was it? It was their window.
Yeah.
The front window.
And they're a very good D2 football program.
They are.
Yeah. Their state is one of the top D2 football programs.
And Maryville, that'll be kind of cool. That'd be cool. Get more
opportunities.
So we'll see. It sounds like there was possibly an announcement coming. I don't know if that means in the next month or in the next week. I don't know.
If 15 to 20%, my theory is if 15 to 20% of college hockey players are from Minnesota, that means 5 more scholarships for kids from Minnesota to go play each year. That's pretty good. So
yeah, for sure.
I think I may have driven by Maryville University. I just looked up where it is.
And they are
St. Louis.
They're the Saints.
Suburban St. Louis.
Maryville Saints.
Oh, we need more Saints.
So that'd be kind of cool.
How many others? St. Lawrence. Are there other Saints out there? I think they might be the only one.
College hockey.
Yeah, in college hockey, St. Lawrence might be the only Saints.
I think that's all.
Skating Saints.
Yeah.
Skating Saints.
I mean, St. Scholastica is the Saints. And St. Peter High School, they're the Saints. And
okay.
New Orleans football team, they're the Saints.
Okay, NPI, quick look at it. Not much change. I'll just say the teams that
St. Thomas changed.
Otherwise, we know the rest of the teams because it's kind of hard to actually change right now unless you pull off a big weekend because everything's so set.
So the bubble teams, I think the 13, 14, 15 are the bubble teams, right?
So only notables, Minnesota, Duluth, and Denver. Flip-flop, up one, down one. BC moves up 2 spots to 12, so now they would be in.
They're
Wisconsin
safe.
also moves up 2 spots.
They're safer.
They were in a dicey spot for
Wisconsin
a long time.
with a home win over Michigan, which was
Nice.
Huge.
a big thing for
That's a
them.
big
They
one.
wound up splitting big crowds at the Kohl Center, by the way. Good,
love
good on
hearing
you,
that.
Badger fans.
Nice.
I love
like
hearing
it.
that.
And then tough -2 spots for UConn and St. Thomas, who would be in high danger alert.
Yes, they are in a treacherous ground right
And then
now.
the 16th spot we reserve for the Atlantic hockey winner, which
Yep.
highest would be Bentley at 25. And then the first out teams, most of the CCHA, Minnesota State, Augustana,
all of the CCHA, at this
Michigan
point.
Tech, and then UMass and Union.
I don't
Okay.
think UMass and Union can move up
No, I don't
enough.
think any of
they
these
can't
teams,
get to 13 or
It'll
14.
be tough.
No, I mean they can't, but just for interesting purposes, I put
Yeah.
it in there.
The only ones who
But-
can move up are Bentley or anyone else in the
Yeah, I
in
mean,
the AHA, right? Whoever's the second or third place teams in the AHA.
so St.
they got a
Thomas
shot.
could be in if there were literally no upsets and all the high seeds won the section.
And they would have
not
to
s-
make it to the
not
conference.
section tournaments.
They would
we're
have
not
to
in
get
high
to the
school,
conference
but-
final too.
Well, if St. Thomas, if there were no upsets, St. Thomas would be in at 15.
Yeah, but they still need
But
to win
that would
every
be
possible game.
Bad. Yeah. Well, oh yeah, this weekend, yes, they'd need to.
And well, the only way they
couldn't
could do it,
sink lower.
they
yeah.
can't lose in the semis.
And if they can't lose to Bemidji. Yeah, if they
They
lose
can't
to
lose to Bemidji,
Bemidji,
and they can't lose to semis. They got to win all their games.
yeah, if they lose to Bemidji and Mankato sweeps Northern Michigan, they'd probably flop. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. They're in trouble.
Summit scorers, we'll just read off a couple
The Friday
of them.
ones because Tony didn't do the Saturday
Friday
ones.
ones.
Scumbag.
Kind of cool in the Northern Michigan Lake State Series. Wilson Dahlheimer scored along with Joe Schiller. That was kind of
Yep,
cool. Two
saw that.
Minnesotans. We read a lot of these. Jacob Jeanette. I don't know if you saw the goal GIF they posted of him
It's unbelievable.
with the
The guy's
with the bald
bald.
hair.
He's bald, and he's playing to the baldness.
I love it. I love that.
He
That's
was
awesome.
not ignoring his baldness.
I remember I talked to him when he committed to Union, and he's one of those guys who grinded out like a full 4 years in
Oh
the
yeah, he
USHL.
skipped his senior year at Duluth East.
Yeah, and I
So
just
he
remember
had
going like
4
he's,
years of juniors.
He's grinding it out in the USHL. So cool to see him get some.
I was playing golf last summer at
Yeah.
Northland in Duluth, and this older guy, it's probably in his 70s, comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I recognize your voice from somewhere. How do I know you?" This grandpa voice. I'm like, I'm Tony. I work for Youth Hockey Hub. Do you have a grandson that plays hockey? He goes, "Yeah, Jacob Jeanette." I'm like, "Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
state runner-up, 2016
Nice.
PVAA in Grand Rapids." He goes, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "I just know your grandson.
Yeah.
He was a heck of a hockey player." So
Nice.
it was fun.
A lot of other familiar suspects on here. You added Jackson Reineke, I see. Love it.
I'm still doing some digging on this. I think I know who the kid is.
Well, yeah. And then I wanted to say too, apparently Cruz Lucius had a 5-point night
On Saturday,
on
though.
Saturday.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay.
It was the development that he got at the National Development Program that propelled him to that 5 points.
Him and Bennett Shimmick, I think, are
And
just carrying that.
and when he
thing
was 13, he didn't have to think about his college choice anymore.
it was already taken care of.
Yeah. Didn't
Already
wind up
taken care of.
going there. Wound up going to Wisconsin and then transferring to Arizona State. But, whatever.
And not technically a Minnesotan, but Lincoln Keene, I think, got his first career goal as well, which Fargo
missing
adjacent.
link.
Yeah, Fargo.
He was part of a West Fargo crew of kids that was, I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, just to give you some idea, the PBAA team for Edina had Mason West on it and a ton of
Yeah.
great players.
Speaking
And
of
they-
good athletes.
and they won all but like one game as Pee-wees that year and won the state championship. One of the best games I broadcasted was this West Fargo Pee-wee team. They were absolutely stacked, and they played in the semis of the Big Pumpkin, and the missing link was a big part of that team. And it was a great back and forth game. They really gave West Fargo gave Edina all they could handle in that game. And I think they probably ended up having 8 or 9. That West Fargo had 8 or 9 Division I players on their team, and then Edina's going to have north of 10
Yeah.
on that team. Freddie Schneider and all those kids. It'll all shake it out as one of the better youth hockey games I ever saw, and it was fun to watch. Fun to watch those kids, and Link was one of those kids. He came to our camp. He had this big head of hair. I mean, big long hair from West Fargo, and he's a good player, really good player.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Speaking to that,
yeah, go
just
for
a
it.
weird moment. Saturday afternoon, my high school, Warroad, is playing in the girls' state championship game. My sister calls me up. "Hey, I'm going to go to the game. You want to go?" "Sure, yeah, we'll go to the game." I'm just as a fan.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing any Warroad stuff. I'm just an anonymous fan, just watching the game. You know, the Warroad coaches are friends of mine. I'm kind of hopeful for them. Actually, I know.
Was Coach C there? I didn't see him on the bench.
I didn't see him on the bench either. But I actually know the Breck coach as well, Tricia Loma.
Yeah.
Her husband Todd I've known for years.
Really?
He's a Greenway Coleraine guy.
Yeah.
Did you see, side note, the clip of after the game when they're all cheering of her?
Who was cheering for her?
The Breck coaches celebrating.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I saw that.
It's funny. Yeah, go watch it.
And interesting note, one of the assistant coaches, she wasn't on the bench for the championship game, but Taylor Turnquist is like the third assistant coach for the Breck team.
Yep.
She's going to marry Nico Sturm this summer. They
I
met
did know that.
when they were in college at Clarkson. She played college hockey there, and he
did know
of course,
that,
played
yeah.
college hockey there and has won a couple Stanley Cups since then. Now plays for the Minnesota Wild. So him signing with the Wild was kind of a homecoming because they've lived in the Twin Cities since
Forever, yeah.
since college. Anyway, before the game, we get there 45 minutes early. I said, should we grab a beer before the game? Yeah, why not? We walked down to the truck park.
Great place. That's what Debbie
great
and I
place.
always
Not
go.
real busy.
Yeah.
And just sit, order.
I was going to say, if you're trying to grab a beer at the game, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, well, you can at St. Thomas, though. We've covered that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, they've got hockey on TV. I sit back. We're at the truck park in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Uh-oh.
And the game they have on TV is Fargo Cheyenne versus Fargo Davies.
Stop it.
Playing at it looked like Purpur Arena in Grand Forks.
Yeah.
Must have been a playoff game.
Had to be playoffs. Because it's not
How
state
is
yet.
this on TV? Number one, how is this on TV in America? And number two, how is this game on the TV on the big screen
Paul.
in St. Paul? Well, like girls' state hockey tournament's going on, the Olympics is going on.
Somebody
everything else.
had to personally.
Maybe one of those North Dakota families that has kids playing at Warroad had a son playing for one of those teams and convinced the person.
And also what I thought of.
I'm giving you a theory. You're asking a question. I'm trying to give you an answer.
Another thing I thought of, a couple years ago, it was Andover versus Maple Grove in the state
Oh, yeah.
Double A
So that was
championship
one of the
game.
better
And I
games
thought,
of all time.
and I thought, here's how old I am. Those are two schools that didn't exist when I was in high school. Same way, Fargo Davies, Fargo Cheyenne weren't around 20 years ago.
Not even.
You're
Yeah.
seeing the growth in the Fargo
Cheyenne's
area.
in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that they're adding all these, high schools in the Fargo area. But yeah, there's another how old am I moment where it used to be Fargo North and Fargo South, and if it was a really good year, Fargo Shanley might sneak in there, and and West Fargo had a team, I think. But yeah, it's crazy the growth that's happened there.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. That do it for this week's show.
That's all I got.
We end on the missing link.
all I
He
got.
gets us all the way to a truck park Cheyenne Davies game.
Well, as long as we're on this topic, MSU Moorhead, NDSU, come on, step up. Time to go.
MSU Moorhead would be amazing.
And they were close. There was another program
It
that
would be
was really close to
amazing.
happening. They've
Absolutely
got Shields Arena right there. Seats about 5,000-6,000, isn't it?
So what? They would have to play in a different state.
Tell the Chicago Bears that's a bad idea.
On that note, thank you to our sponsors, APX Hockey and the USHL. Jess Myers, Sydney Wolf, Tony Scott, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you around the rink.